coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome in. Hello, Lou. Good to see you.
Come on in.
It is
Water's
hump day.
fine. It is hump day.
Wednesday. Weather Watchers Wednesday. I love that alliteration.
Absolutely. It's good. We're sliding downhill to the weekend.
The triple dub, baby. Let's go.
Taken aback just how busy
It is.
the tropics have just kind of
Very
flipped that
busy.
switch. We've opened the faucet, and here we are. We've had a quiet sort of peak of the season. And now, as forecast, things have kind of turned up a bit, and we've got a new tropical storm.
We do have a new tropical storm as of the 11 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, Tropical Storm Gabrielle.
Yep.
And so we're going to kind of break down what the latest information is on Gabrielle, the track, kind of what we're seeing from it.
Cool.
But also, Lou, we have two other areas that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring.
Do you want to clarify why there are two yellow orbs directly over each other?
Yeah. So
go ahead and explain it.
Yeah. So we have that. You can see that little yellow X. You might be able to see the little arrow and the smaller or brighter orb, so to speak.
Yeah.
That is the 10 and 20. So 10% chance of development over the next 2 days, 20% chance over the next 7 days. Mm-hmm. That is monitoring that little cluster of storms right near the Cabo Verde Islands right now.
Yep.
The much larger, highlighted area, that is for a potential tropical wave that's still on the African continent.
Yep.
So they are expecting that to move off the west coast of Africa by Friday and the weekend. So they've already highlighted an area that they're watching for that to move into. Just so happens to be in the exact same spot another tropical wave is currently at.
So, and to get kind of elementary here, what I want to emphasize with these areas of potential development, we call them blobs or whatever. They're just, the yellow shape on your screen.
Is that a scientific term?
Blob. I think we have to go with it. It's just what everybody else,
it's an easy way to describe it. I like it.
And those are not forecast cones. So it's kind of easy when you've got a tropical storm on there and there is a forecast cone to kind of, okay, well, this is where a storm is formed and going to be moving that way. And I can see that because they're similar shapes, but those areas are areas of potential development. So nothing has developed yet with the X or what's coming off the coast of Africa. Those are just places that we'd watch somewhere in that yellow scheme will a tropical system could develop, and those are still low chances. Talking about 20% and 10% respectively over the next week. So a lot of time to watch those two, and frankly, a lot of time to watch Tropical Storm Gabrielle, a disorganized, to say the least, area, trying to get a little circulation going, 45-mile-an-hour winds, so we're at that threshold. There would be gale warnings out, for shipping lanes in this area, certainly. But this is out in the middle of nowhere, right? It's off those Cabo Verde, between that and the Windward Islands, in an awfully massive area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Over 1,200 miles wide, essentially, from the northern flank to the southern edge. I mean, that's a very large area.
Yep. And so, for my novice meteorologists out there, it's like, well, find the center. What are we looking at? What is the center of that circulation? So you have to kind of look, while we talk about 1,200 miles wide, the cloud field here, you got to look essentially where that dry air and some of that shear is pumping into.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of look to that northern sort of blob of energy where you would pick up that circulation. Now, this is a great look. And this is visible satellite. So we were showing you infrared pictures, showing convection, showing cloud temperature up top. What this is showing you is what the eye would see, quite literally visible, and why it's getting dark is because the sun's setting over the storm. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be useful to us once the night falls over it, but it is extremely useful, showing just kind of how disorganized that center is.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the dry air. I mean, there's a good amount of dry air on the western edge of this storm that it's trying to move into, and really struggling. So yeah, I mean that the western and southwestern portion of the storm and circulation, Lou, certainly struggling, to say the least, to try to continue to grow and to develop. I think that's why in the cone, they're only expecting kind of gradual development here over the next couple of days.
This is going to be a slow burn. We'll watch it as a tropical storm for a while. If it holds its act together, forecast not to strengthen even to a Category 1 hurricane really till we get to the end of the weekend, maybe early next week. So these are your spaghetti model plots, the tracks for various, numerous computer models. And one thing that is pretty consistent here is confidence in a track. I mean, there are some southern outliers and some eastern outliers, but the confidence is pretty strong that this is going to continue that northwest movement.
Yeah, what you'd like to see is it's pretty much taken a path that's not going to impact a whole lot of people, at least over the next couple of days, right? So, the Windward Islands, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico even. This storm is going to stay off to the north or northeast of them. Folks who do live in Bermuda, there's about 65,000 people who do live on the island of Bermuda. They, of course, need to be monitoring very, very closely here since the storm could be headed their way, but certainly shouldn't impact much of the Caribbean, if at all.
Right.
And similarly for us here at home.
Agreed. And look at the model, if you want to get in the nitty gritty of this, and granted, you'd have to take a screenshot of the spaghetti, but if you want to go to our website, we've got those plots on our tropical page right now talking about Gabrielle, and you kind of have to look closely, but the ones that aren't picking up the center of circulation, that aren't initializing on where the center is, it's almost as if that's crap information in, you're going to get crap information out. So that might account for why there are some outliers on one end or the other. You got to really focus in on the models that are initializing where the center is. I love it. Great chart here with our steering flow, and we're watching the areas of high pressure. The Bermuda high, certainly. We had our eyes on a high developing over New England. And when those are stubborn, when those highs that situate themselves over New England are stubborn, and so you get a little bit of a block, and there's the potential that these storms would stay a little bit further to the south, especially if you get a low setting up near the Gulf or in the deep south states. That's not happening here. It looks like the high that had situated itself, we were watching over New England, is going to kind of boogie out to the Atlantic, and the Bermuda high will more or less retrograde back to the east. So,
and partially because of this is the wind barbs there, the arrows. Those are the mid-level winds at about 30,000 feet, let's say. You go a little bit higher up in the jet stream. We got a jet streak coming across the New England states, kind of arcing its way across the North Atlantic. So that's really going to just propel that high pressure across the North Atlantic, away off to the east, closer to the UK and Ireland, and should allow this storm to recurve up to the north and then eventually off to the northeast by the early part of next week.
And I like the trough kind of sort of drawn in there. You can see it with your isobars there. A pretty clear trough that digs into the east coast of the United States. That'll help as well.
And I think that's the next graphic I got here. Also,
Sweet.
just kind of to show the trough, to show the wind shear within, that dip in the jet stream and the trough as well, going to help to keep that away from us and almost act as like a barrier between us and the storm.
And something I was talking about with meteorologist Robert Spetta earlier, we did a 11 a.m.-ish, right as this was becoming tropical storm, in fact, discussion. And if you stay on this graphic for me, if you're doing some longer range forecasting and you were thinking about this jet setup, for long track storms coming off the coast of Africa, it's helpful. It's the force field, right? For a storm that we need to focus our attention, I think, in the next 10 days to 2 weeks out, we focus in on the Yucatan, Central America, Western Caribbean. For storms that develop there, this doesn't help out as much.
Yeah.
In fact, that's where the steering current could bring something up and in. So it kind of works the opposite with storms that would try to develop and move into the Gulf and then kind of, get propelled, perhaps sheared apart. But if it's, a well-organized system out of the Caribbean, certainly could get propelled into the west coast of Florida.
Yeah, I think a good point to watch for.
But nothing yet. So let me just to be clear, there is nothing that's being monitored yet, but certainly the dynamics we'd watch.
But if we remember, right, Helene, I think, was past this point last year, or Milton certainly was. That was in, early to mid-October.
Yep.
So, although this doesn't seem to be, posing a threat to us, we still got a long way to go yet.
In Helene, I think the orientation was a little bit, so that maybe that trough is a little bit further to the west. and Helene kind of got pulled more Big Bendy as opposed to any kind of sideswipe Tampa. They got, but nonetheless still got a good bit of surge from that. And then, of course, Milton could have just been earth-shattering for Tampa. Coming back, are we coming back local now?
We are coming back local, yep.
Okay, good. All right.
We got a beautiful day here across the First Coast. Some higher clouds rolling in overhead, primarily from that stalled stationary front, that boundary down across South Florida. We've talked about it here the last couple of days, Lou, right?
Yep.
And it's brought a decent amount of rain to them. So while we're kind of soaking up the sunshine, we've had some cooler temperatures the last few days. It's been a little bit warmer here now the last 2 afternoons, but, you look down just south of I-4, Fort Myers, out towards the Everglades, West Palm Beach. I mean, they got a decent amount of rain, some thunderstorms down there as well. But thankfully, we don't have too much of that to worry about.
And it's the wet season. It's Florida's wet season, and really that Florida wet season is I-4 corridor and south right now. I mean, we've just been kind of spared. And in the long term, we love these beautiful days, but the rainfall we get in September and October kind of account for, and really the whole summer, through the tropical season, kind of accounts for that lack of rain that we're going to start seeing come the winter months. So you kind of need that to keep our rainfall rates right. Which I love this graphic. You had mentioned.
I mean, we've gone a week now without rain in Jacksonville.
Right, and because we won't be getting any today. Small chances for the next couple of days, too.
I mean, out of 17 days in the month, we've only had measurable rainfall 3 of those days, at least in Jax. Now, we've had some coastal showers, especially through the first 10 days of the month. So, from Ponte Vedra Beach down to St. Augustine even. Right. Yeah, you folks have gotten some rain, but if you're, looking at the measurable rainfall at the airport, it has been slim pickings here through at least the first half of the month.
I mean, just right at a little more than a half inch, 69 hundredths. So.
And by the end of today, I think our departure from normal will be almost 3.5 inches.
Right.
Or right around there. So
top 10 driest, you were saying we're 8th?
We were 8th yesterday. I think I do have that. I think I updated that, and it's in here. I think we're 6th now.
Okay.
Once you include today.
Top 5 spot.
Yeah, and if you then include Thursday and Friday when we are not expecting much rain, if any at all, I think, then we break into the top 5. So we used this on air yesterday. I'm not sure if we've used this streaming yet. This was a graphic Lou and I put together yesterday to just show the percentage of normal precipitation over the last month.
Yep.
And if you kind of just look at the color scheme, if you're in that yellow, orange, or red, if you're in one of those colors of the rainbow, you are below your normal percentage. Whereas if you're in the green or the blue, you're in that surplus, so to speak. So from St. Augustine down into Flagler County, you folks have seen the rain. But really from St. Augustine north and west, especially if you go out towards the Swanee Valley or like inland southeast Georgia, I mean, you folks are only looking at like less than 10% of your monthly rainfall. Right.
It illustrates the point of who's driest, but all that the rainfall that we've had with those coastal showers. Remember, it's a couple weekends back where the training environment lined up right over Palm Coast in Flagler Beach. Remember? Yeah. I mean, we were talking about coastal flooding. I mean, they were getting streets washed out, and areas of A1A down towards Flagler Beach had ocean water overrunning the highway, and that's where you see 150-200% of the monthly total. So down towards Daytona and everything, and if this map interpolated even further south, as you saw what's happening at I-4 and south. So we've kind of been stuck, a little drier air, front stall to the south. It is going to try to eke its way back north towards us, a little offshore, and perhaps up our rain chances for the weekend.
Yeah. I was going to say one last thing before we leave this. If you looked at the Southeast River Forecast Center, we've talked a lot about the coastal flood advisories here now for almost 2 weeks with the northeast flow that we've had and kind of backing up the St. Johns River a little bit, especially with the king tides. If you look for some of our inland rivers, Santa Fe River, one of those, it's looking quite low.
Santa Fe, Suwannee River.
Yeah, and those were some spots that saw, the worst flash flooding during Hurricane Debbie last August, where we picked up 12 to 13 inches of rain, now completely flipped on its head. And, you folks who do happen to live out towards Union and Bradford counties, Columbia County, I mean, it's river levels are certainly on the downward trend rather than, on the upward trend of where, we've seen the St. Johns and some of the other areas closer to the metro.
And you know what helps with that? tropical systems.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. So it's kind of the give and take. Like we don't want them, but the rainfall, that's what keeps the river levels healthy, and you have that push. Well, I can't remember what storm it was, but it actually. I don't know if it was Tropical Storm Barrel back in 2012, man. I mean, it was back, 2 barrels ago. So
okay.
we're talking 12 years ago, I guess, on the cycle of tropical names. But I-10, so Okefenokee essentially flows out and into and feeds Santa Fe, but also the Suwannee River. And so the I-10, and this was for tropical storm rains, totally flooded over, right? So water's flowing out. I-10 shut down, couldn't get from Tallahassee to Jax with water flowing essentially out of the Okefenokee over I-10 and filling up those rivers. It was a wild thing. And then I know you're a big fan of snakes.
I hate them.
Love a snake. I remember staying out and doing stories about it. And as the water finally receded, I was riding with a guy with a DOT, and we're hearing do-do, 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 and we're freaking just flying
running over
snakes. It was like speed bumps. I mean, just littered the highway.
Do you know what kind of snakes they were?
I don't know. They weren't living. They were the dead snake.
That's the only good snake in my book. Sorry, folks.
You're going to get, what are they called? The heptologists? I think that's the snake specialist, heptologist.
I'm going to get canceled for that comment. I'm sorry.
I have gotten angry emails from heptologists out of University of Florida when I posted a Twitter picture about, look at this ugly snake. And I got heat. So we're not going to say snakes are, I love a good snake.
They are good for keeping the rodent population down.
Amen.
And keeping the disease that comes with those rodents.
All over the highway. It was crazy.
That's about it. That's all I'll say.
That's my hurricane story for today. for the Suwannee River Valley. So bumping up those rain chances, get to Saturday, get to Sunday a little more. Monday, I think our eyes might want to gravitate towards Sunday just because of
the Jags
home game.
Yeah.
And, of course, we'll talk about that in a moment. And our morning lows, while we are going up, still pleasant.
At least for now.
For now. We are going to get back up to that trend of being in the near 70 or right there at it, away from the beach. But still pleasant. And the humidity is going to climb, and that might be what changes how pleasant it really is.
Little muggier, especially by the time we get to Friday and the weekend. So tomorrow, still looking good. Lots of sunshine. Mm-hmm. Temps up near 90. Rain chances, as Lou and I have kind of touched on, remain low. Models are trying to pop a little something up, but I do expect there to be enough dry air in place, especially across some of our more inland locations. We don't really see much rain, if any at all, tomorrow. Lou, on Friday, perhaps some of our more southern areas, I think, down towards Flagler County, southern Putnam, perhaps even Hastings, in St. Johns County. You might see a little bit of some rain, just maybe 1 or 2 spotted showers out there. But for the most part, you got fairly nice, cool starts in the morning, hot afternoons, mostly sunny skies and dry skies out there for both your Thursday and your Friday. So we should be looking good for Friday night football out there across the First Coast yet again, Lou. This
is interesting, high school football. So forecast looks nice, but I'm looking at IMG Academy.
Yeah, coming to town to take on Mandarin. The Mustangs, yeah. And
Mandarin, I think, has something for them.
Gosh, I hope so.
I think they have something for them. IMG, of course, the sports academy, right? Like, some of the best athletes in the country essentially come down to train, and their education essentially is, let's be professional athletes.
Essentially, yeah.
And for better or for worse, in the IMG Academy, people might want to slap me upside the head. Well, no, but truly.
And there could be a lot of potential, not only D1 players there, but perhaps future NFL stars.
Pro players are going to be on that field.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool. And if nothing else, you're going to go to this game and you definitely see on both sides some cool D1 athletes.
Now, that's not the game of the week, though.
No. We're going to Oakleaf.
We're going to Oakleaf, West Side. Let's do it.
Yep. Bowles. And Bowles just put a hurting on Bishop Kenny last week. I listened to that on the radio, driving up to Columbia, in fact, where my Gamecocks got a hurting putting on them by Vanderbilt. I was just all kind of hurting.
You had a full weekend of pain, my friend.
My neighbor's kid actually recovered a fumble, so I'm proud of him. It was his own team who fumbled it. It was on a kick, but he got on the ball.
Hey, he stopped He stopped them from letting up the turnover.
He got it. So I'm proud of Michael. But otherwise, that Bowles, that's a good football team, and they ran the ball. So let's see how Oakleaf can stop the run, because they lean heavily
on the run
on a couple of big running backs there at Bowles. So we know we talked about that front coming back, coastal trough kind of set up where our winds are going to freshen for the weekend.
Yeah, they are. Northeast winds 15 to 20, 25 miles per hour. I think gusts upwards of about 30, perhaps 35 for some of our area beaches. So we'll watch that. But yeah, it's going to be windier. We've mentioned the humidity is going to be on the rise here, especially by the end of the week and continuing into the weekend. We're talking dew points, low 70s, even the mid 70s by next Tuesday, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
As that trough and that almost coastal low kind of begins to tighten up and spin up a little bit more so just off to our east or southeast. So that's going to pump in some extra moisture, some better rain chances for both your Saturday and your Sunday. Now, if there's one day that you're looking, okay, which is going to be the driest, we're thinking Saturday for the most part.
And sing out loud, what an awesome tradition there. Francis Field, downtown St. Augustine. Listen, if you're going Sunday, don't be sad. I mean, there might be certainly we have those rain chances. Just be rain ready. Saturday, perhaps the better of the days, but also a little bit warmer there across parts of St. Augustine. And for Jacksonville, we're going even warmer than that, 87 degrees, pushing 90 yet again. We might have some sites west of town. We get some more sunshine, get away from the beaches where the big winds are.
And the rough surf.
Yeah, right.
Rip current concerns yet again.
Yeah, so sidetrack a little bit. I know offshore fishermen have had a few days of better conditions, right? You've had those 2-foot seas. We've seen the buoy reports near shore, so better because we had a couple of weekends straight of small craft advisories, and we saw buoy reports 7-8 feet. You can't really do unless you got a big boat, and even then it's not comfortable. But this weekend looks like it might be intracoastal and inshore fishing will be the best bet. And here's your big story of the weekend.
Yeah.
Coming back home, and we also have weather on our mind for it.
We do. It's going to be windy out there, which might actually make it feel fairly nice. Temperature-wise, we're not expecting it to be like super hot, but it will have a little bit of a sultry feeling in the air just because of the humidity.
Yep.
So I don't expect it to be like a dry game that you walk in, you got to sit on that last row on the upper deck. You're going to be sweating by the time you get up there just because it is going to be humid out there. Just not super hot per se with regards to the temperatures, but we are going to be watching for some showers. We do think the lightning risk still remains low, but of course we'll kind of adjust that as we get closer and closer to
we got to watch
kickoff.
it because we know what happened last home game.
Yeah.
So we'll watch that very carefully, and we'll fine tune. And if a weather impact alert needs to be issued, it would be solely and primarily over the stadium. We'd be thinking about folks at our Jags game, because we're going 40% showers, but if that 40% coverage and lines up over downtown Jacksonville, and as we watch that a little more carefully, then you got 70,000 people coming down here. It's going to be important.
Standing outside in the rain.
So we're watching that carefully and want you ready, one way or the other, for the potential for some rain. And we'll watch that lightning risk. Windy weekend is coming, but it's nonetheless, Ross, it's the weekend, and we got the leaves and nuts on the 7-day.
Hey, gotta love those acorns, eh?
Leaves and nuts.
Love the
making
acorns.
the squirrels happy. We got the fall equinox happening on Monday, so we're this close to saying goodbye to summer. Whether we do it temperature-wise or not, it's funny.
I was going to say,
first couple of days of fall, we're going to be back to summer.
It's still going to feel like summer.
Right.
Joke's on you.
Yeah, seriously. We've had more fall this past week than we're probably going to have those first couple of days. For Ross, I'm Lewis. I'm going to go do the 5 o'clock news. Y'all have a fantastic day. Thanks for streaming along.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick. You're watching the First Coast News Weather Channel. We are proud to have been named the most accurate weather team in Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row by Weather Rate. We take our forecasting very seriously, and we want to get every detail right and accurate. We know weather impacts your day, whether it's going to work, going to school, running errands, going to the beach, or out on the water. You need to know what time that rain is going to arrive, how hot it's going to be, if fog is going to impact you, or if it's windy. And we want to nail it every day for you. We promise to keep working hard to stay the most accurate when it comes to forecasting for the First Coast.
You're looking